That help. Yeah, we can. We're not in that pretty part.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the July Elizabethton City Schools Board meeting. If everyone would, please stand, and Dr. Gardenauer will lead us in a moment of silence and the pledge to the flag.
Let's have our moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, we get to start off our meeting in kind of a cool way, so I'd like to ask Coach Witten and Corey Russell. Is Coach Holt here? I'm going to come and join you.
We're here tonight. We had this planned a couple of times ago, and just never could get it scheduled out. But you know, as you go through your programs, and you got different kids that come through, you know, there's certain kids that come through your program that are game changers. There's certain kids that come through your programs that are program changers. And at the end of Corey's 4 years, and the amount of games he played, what he did for our program, it's not about what you do on the field. You know, it's about what you do off the field, your character in the community. You know, everything that we want our young men to be about. And you know, every time Corey stepped on the field, you know, his ability to be the best player. He was prepared to be the best player. He was prepared to be the toughest player. And even though Corey had a devastating injury his last game, to me, it signifies the type of player he was for us. They were literally going to have to drag him off the field. And then when I think about the night that took place, I really don't think that he would have won it any other way. He was going to go out playing the way that he knew how to play. And there's so many stories that I could tell about Corey from his freshman year all the way up. But, Corey played 11 positions for us on any given night. And I think about what my grandfather instilled in me. I think about, what we try to put back into the program. And it's not about being a smart football player. He just had a great football IQ every day in practice, every game. It didn't matter who you were going against. He was going to be prepared for every situation. And in his 4 years, we played some teams like CAK, Alcoa, obviously Johnson City, Greenville's. Every situation he was prepared for. Every Friday night he was prepared for. What you were willing to ask him to do, he was prepared for. And Corey and I had a conversation in his freshman year and going into the basketball gym one day, and I had the same conversation my granddad had with me, and it was about being one of the best. It wasn't about being the best football player or best quarterback. It was about just being one of the best. It's football, basketball, baseball, and I got a 6-year-old boy, and there's a lot of people out there, that want your boys to follow in certain people's footsteps. But I want my boy to be Corey Russell. And if my boy can simulate half of what Corey Russell is, then my boy's going to be successful. And, Corey, we all want our kids to be 6'4". If he's 6'4", I want him to be Carter Everett. If he's 6'7", I want him to be Garrett Jennings. But everybody can relate to this man's size. And, if my boy grows up and he's 5'10", 5'11", I hope he plays as hard as Corey Russell plays. And I think, what makes Corey Russell special, honestly, is I think he changed the way people came to the football games. People that didn't know and didn't care, they just wanted to see him play. They wanted to put a face with a name. They wanted to be there. They wanted to experience it. The feelings he made you feel when you went to the game, it's a feeling like unlike anything else. The plays that he made them in practice every day. People, Ryan and I have coached him for a long time, got to know him quite well. The things he did on Friday night, we saw it every day. And he practiced that way. His enthusiasm was contagious. And we're happy tonight. He's got some great statistics, but it's not about the statistics. It's about the young man he was in the locker room. It's about the young man he was in the hallways. It's about the respect he had for his classmates and his teammates. It's about the way he made people better. And he challenged me personally to go out and find ways to be a better coach. He wanted me to coach him like he was going to play at UT or whatever it may be. He challenged me to say, Coach, I need different ways to be coached. I need you to challenge me. I need you to push me. I need you to be the best you can be. And he took it every day. This guy played Mike linebacker, holder, kicker, whatever it may be on Friday night. In 2016, he played running back. Carter Everett got hurt going into week 10. So we moved this guy back to quarterback. And with his feet, we put in about probably a dozen plays. And on Wednesday, I asked him in the hallway, I said, Corey, hey, what are you good with? What are you doing? He's Coach, I got you. And it just, the comfort you had when you took the field, knowing this guy had you back, it made the last 4 years worth every minute of it. And I know he's standing here today, and he's going to get recognized, but he's had some great classmates, some great teammates that have supported him. He's never once accepted any of the credit. He's always given it to his teammates and his friends and his coaches. I just happen to be, the guy that was in charge for the last 4 years and watched it. Ryan spent a lot of time with him. I know his dad coached him growing up, and the intangibles he learned from an early age, inspires a legacy for the guys that come, you know. And when these guys that we've got right now grow up, you know, some of them can't relate to Jason Witten because they don't know. They want to be the next Corey Russell. And he not just made an impact in Elizabethton, but he made an impact in the Tri-Cities area in everything that he did. And I'm happy tonight to recognize going to retire his number 5 jersey, almost 8,000 total yards. I think about all the touchdowns he did get called back, but 94 total touchdowns, 3.95 GPA, 24 on the ACT. He's going to Center College to play football and baseball. And I'm just happy tonight to recognize him and thank him for the work that you put in, and appreciate all that he did for our program, our school, our community. And today's just an exciting day, and we're excited that he came through Elizabethton. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Corey, on behalf of the board, you know, we're so happy to get to do this for you. And what an ambassador you've been, not just for the school, but for our town. Because there isn't anybody in Tri-Cities that doesn't know who you are. And I guarantee you there's a lot of football teams glad to see you graduate. So congratulations. We're so proud of you. Thank you for sharing him with us. And looking forward to seeing what happens for you in Center. So what's the mascot for Center? Go Kearns. All right. All right. It's time for citizens to speak in accordance with Board Policy 1.404. Mr. Walker had requested to be added to the agenda, but he called Dr. Gardenauer and has to take care of a personal matter. So we're going to, I guess he'll come back another night. No one else requested to be on the board, so we're on the agenda, so we're going to move on. So it's time to approve the consent and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
You may have any questions or comments? A couple things I do want to make you aware of. Felicia put this on the board at our desk for item number 5. We're going to be using this instead of what's in our packet. There was a correction, so when we get to agenda item number 5, we will be using this. If you guys took a minute and noticed that our agenda for the night is, daunting, I would like to propose, if you all are willing, that we could take items number 5 through 21 as a whole. Most of them are approved on first readings. If there's any you particularly want to talk about, we can pull those out and talk about it individually. Of course, we can talk about them when we get there, but rather than going through all of them individually, we could take them at one time if you're willing to listen to me read through them. So, thoughts on that?
Take them all.
Okay.
Second. I'll second that amendment to the motion.
All right. Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right. I'm on the floor is approve the consent and regular agenda, taking agenda items 5 through 21 as one item. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. I guess Dr. Gardenauer?
Okay, we've had a very busy month getting ready for the opening of school. I'd like to remind everyone about the Back to School Bash coming up. We'd love to have board members be involved with Back to School Bash.
What's the date?
The date is the 3rd, and it is at 9 to 11. So if you could come and just hand out some backpacks for that, even for just a little time, the community would love to see you and interact with you at that. We do have a table that we set up. Normally we hand out pencils and try to have some interaction with people coming through the line of vendors. I would like to invite Travis Thompson to come and talk a little bit about future looking at ROTC program.
Good evening. This thing's hot. How y'all doing tonight? I think Dr. Gardner probably a year ago started talking about possibility of doing a junior OTC program here in Elizabethton. And we got to looking. I think the last OTC program stops at Science Hill and Sullivan East. And then in Johnson, Unicoi, and Carter, there's not anything available. That's actually a legit program based under one of the services. And in doing some research, we found that the Navy Cadet Corps is a pretty good option that we could look into possibly bringing into the system. Application process, application is due by September, and then from that point it goes, once we send it up to the Navy, it takes a while, it goes all the way up to the Secretary of the Navy, and then they finally approve it. So we may not know something until early spring, early summer of next year, whether we get awarded. Now, he did say, I think, anybody that has applied for the National Cadet Corps has received it. I think that's what he told us on the phone. They've not turned anybody down. And doing some research, I've worked a lot with Boone's ROTC program and got to spend a lot of time with them when I was in Washington County and even since I left there. And the positives that come out of it, I think their graduation rate with the kids that are in that program is 99%. I've been doing some research. I was researching a dissertation that was written in 2016, and they did perceptions of principals, their perception of their ROTC programs within their schools. And it's the curricular components of junior ROTC have been the topic of some dissertations and articles. Marks 2004 surveyed principals and junior OTC instructors in 3 schools located in northern Tennessee and northwestern North Carolina. Principals ranked the top 3 most important programmatic goals as promotion of citizenship, promotion of leadership, and completion of high school. JROTC instructors ranked high school graduation as the most important goal, followed by development of self-esteem and academic achievement, and the development of leadership. They also found in the study, within this dissertation, they quoted a study by Pima and Mayhay of 2009. Researchers pointed to an increase in self-esteem for female cadets. A second study in 2010 explored the effect of the intensity of the program and found that graduation rates were higher for junior OTC students who participated early in the program and for those who remained in the program, which I think are very important. And the conversation continues to come back to graduation rate and graduation of those students. It did go on to talk in that dissertation about the perception. They had charts, and it talked about discipline rates being extremely lower for cadets that were in the program as well, and the positives of the leadership and the development coming out of the program. And it ties in exactly what we are here in Elizabethton, and how we develop leaders and the leaders that obviously come out of this system, just like Corey. But what the program also allows, and in being able to work with different ROTC programs in the past, it's not just for kids who might just think they're going into the military. It's for any kid. It could be any size, any shape. It doesn't matter. It gives them something to be a part of, whereas they may not be in athletics, they may not be in other clubs, but it gives them a place to go and a place to be and be accepted and learn so much development in so many various skills. So that's one reason we were looking at it. The benefits are crazy good in what they offer. What the National Cadet Corps, just quickly, some of the things they promote. What does it do? It promotes patriotism. It develops informed and responsible citizens, develops respect, constructive authority, a high degree of personal honor, self-reliance, individual discipline and leadership, promotes understanding the basic elements and needs of national security. It goes on, but everything keeps tying back to leadership, self-esteem, and being comfortable with yourself. And I personally had a lot of students that I taught in the younger grades, and then I got to go work with them while they were in high school in the program. And they were students that, you worry about them. when they leave you worry about them, what they're going to do, and when they join the program, it's amazing to see how they either break a cycle from homes that they come from, the leadership they develop. Being able to be a part of that was amazing, but ultimately it's amazing for those students, giving them something. But it goes on and on and on, what it teaches, the things that we would be able to offer. But again, common things are citizenship, leadership, self-esteem, and ultimately graduation rate and moving students on. It dives deeper into post-secondary. That's where they go into the military, which it has vast benefits if they do go into the military after they're a part of a junior ROTC program. When it comes to rank structure, when they finish boot camp, but also going into the workforce gives them a lot of guidance. So it's not just about going off and being in the military, but the other aspects of it weigh just as heavy. So we've talked about it, we've looked into it. We'd like to push forward with an application process and see where it goes, see if we do get approved, and then start trying to get community involvement to help set up a program. It'd be like building a band program, so it'd be like building from scratch to get it moving forward. And then we talked to John some about it, being able to credit-wise what they can use, different things that supplement other subjects within a school or within a class for credit purposes. That was a lot all at once.
Does ETSU still have their ROTC program?
They do,
Okay.
yes.
I would like to make a side note to say that when we had the Overmountain Cadet Corps, we still have students involved, working a little bit on the side with that. Between us and Happy Valley, there were about 80 kids that were involved, probably close to 35 to 40 kids that were interested, and we've had on a regular basis 25 to 35 kids show up for drill and those types of things. They did a lot of service projects and different things with that. But it was a place for them to belong. There are also competitions and things that they can do, as a part of their overall schooling that they have. Where are we going to find funds to make it go? That's one of the major things that we need to consider. First of all, we would have to, probably in a year's time, look at funding a teacher for it. And that would be a part. The other part would be buying the materials and supplies that students would need in order to participate. One of the great things about having one of these programs is there's a lot of support. And Elizabethton is a very patriotic town. We have a lot of support, I believe, in our town and in the surrounding area to help it go. It'll be other programs as well. But the first part is just to see if we could get approved to start raising funds and see where we could go with it to be able to do something. So, but we wanted to bring that to the board before we decide to start the application process, because it will take us quite a bit of time and energy to get that ready for the September deadline. And I wanted to make sure we brought it to you all before we did that. Likely what would happen is if there's acceptance by the board for us to move forward with the application process, once we were successful in securing that, we would bring that back for a vote of confidence from the board to move forward, knowing that we would have to come up with the money in the next year's budget. But we wouldn't do anything until, and then final approval would come when it was a part of the budget for the following year. So it would be part of our budget process moving forward.
Any questions?
I'm always a big fan of giving kids a place to fit in. Not everybody finds their tribe right away, and for a lot of students, that's a great place for them to find their people. So
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, Travis.
Just as a side note to that, we will be looking also in next year's budget at looking at a welding program, looking at some possibilities there. So that obviously would be something we would be looking at in next year's budget to be able to do a few things there. Okay, we have Mike Rutherford coming. We had a metric we needed to meet in our school improvement plan. One of the things that we chose was to work on teacher feedback and administrator feedback. And we have on the board agenda tonight a contract with Mike Rutherford to be able to come and work with our administrators to start the year. And that is an area that directly ties into our school improvement plan for the year. I'm happy to announce that our amphitheater project has finally passed the fire marshal after, I think, revision 15, but it has passed, and we are looking at that. We're probably going to go ahead and put that out to bid, and then after we put it out to bid, we'll see what the prices are, and we'll bring that back to the board for approval. The construction on the track building has begun. The roof has been replaced, and now we're looking at the siding, and then our students plan to paint that and be a part of that, but it's coming along nicely. We appreciate all the work that's going on with that. The sign on G Street is nearly finished. We just have the Elizabethton Electric Company is working on the final stage, which is putting the meter in. Everything else has been run, and it'll be lit hopefully this week. We're hoping that. We thank Mr. Holt for ordering the soccer goals for our new soccer field, and thank you to City Council for working with us for that to be usable space. We appreciate you. And that'll be operational for the fall soccer season, and we'll have a lot of little students playing on that this fall, and football as well. So we're happy to get that up and going. I want to thank Mr. Burrow and his folks. They are in very difficult circumstances in the hot weather, working on our tennis courts and getting ready. They've been patching most of the week this week and grinding and doing all the things to get it completely ready for the surfacer to go on, and that should be done between this week and next week. The makerspace, I want to thank TCAT and Mr. Burleson, Mr. Lee, and Mr. O'Quinn for working with us on that. We have moved forward. We're working on the plans for that. We have some things that will go in, probably 15 of our makerspace items are going to go in right here for the beginning of the school year, and we're ordering tables this week to take care of the needs of that, and have a few other things to do to get that started for the school year, but that's really moving forward. And throughout this year, based on the conversations we've had with our architect and what we're planning to do, we'll continue to work throughout this year outfitting the room and then look at some other options for the coming year. I appreciate Mr. Isaacs. Thank you for coming, working with me. Mr. Isaacs came to work with me to look at our lighting project and some opportunities for us with that. He's very experienced with lighting and has done it pretty much his whole career, as among other things. And he shadowed one of the energy groups trying to bid on our project and to look at what we're getting, and went to buildings with us. So thank you for taking the time to do that. And I want to welcome John Mitten. He's our new principal at the high school, and he is off to a running start working on the master schedule and many other things at this point, so we appreciate him being with us. And I want to thank the board. I received everyone's evaluation. I appreciate that, and we'll be looking at things, areas to improve, and we'll be focused on trying to make Elizabethton the best it can be. We have a lot to be proud of. We have done a lot in the last year and have made a lot of progress. So thanks to our students and teachers for all that. So thank you.
When is the group headed to New Orleans for XQ?
New Orleans has been canceled, but they are now moving to Washington, D.C.
Oh, because of the hurricane?
Because of the hurricane.
Oh.
So they will be leaving, is it tomorrow? They'll be leaving tomorrow, going to D.C., and XQ treated them to a J-Lo concert on the way. So if you like J-Lo, I guess it's a great place to be.
I hate I missed that, so.
So anyway.
That it?
That's it.
Okay. I just want to thank everybody for, again, Dr. Gardner referenced the evaluations. my intent was that I would have everything compiled and to give to you way in advance, but we got a board of last-minute people, so I finished compiling today. It was actually just right before I got here, so I have the compiled evaluations. I'm going to give them to you after the meeting, because if I give them to you now, you're going to read everything during the meeting, because I know you all. So, or that's what I would do. So anyway, I have them. Miss Felicia has others if anybody wants them. But I do want to thank everybody. One of the things that I think is really important when you're going over the evaluations, obviously it takes a long time to go through it. I do think it's really important to meet with the director, mainly for a lot of reasons. When you're going over those questions, I mean, I don't always know what the director does, so it's important to say, hey, how would you answer this question? Because sometimes they're doing things that you're not even aware of, and so it meets that criteria. I also think it's important to meet because, I have conversations with Dr. Gardner all the time, but if there's something I think that maybe he needs to work on, then we talk about it, and there's always, if there's a criticism, then we work towards how to make that better. So I just think it's really important that we do that, so I want to thank the board members that took time to do that. But I want to thank everybody for taking the time to go over the evaluation. And again, I will give those to you afterwards. I compiled them. I wrote down all the notes. Thanks for those of you that I contacted to ask for clarification, because I did not want to guess. And then Dr. May gets 1,000 points for putting it in a form that I could just cut and paste. So, but Mr. O'Quinn wins for getting his in first. So there you are. That was Friday. So again, thanks everybody for doing that. And I know that Dr. Gardner reads every single one of these and really will. I think he and I were going to get together and pick some things that he was going to work on. Thank you, because I know that is a long report, a long evaluation to do. How about we get to the agenda? All right. First item: approve assistant principal position at EHS for the 2019-2020 school year. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I actually asked Dr. Gardner to contact Ms. Owen to see if we could put this on the agenda. Of course, it ended in a tie, and I just wanted to kind of revisit it. I didn't say much at the last meeting, but there was some things that I thought maybe we needed to look at. I was a little concerned with the money to fund this position was already in the high school's budget, and I felt like I wasn't very comfortable with taking high school's money and putting it towards another school. So anyway, I just wanted to, with everybody being here, I just kind of want to talk about it again. And also, I was just kind of thinking about the students that came and approached the board and talked to us about wanting to keep this person in that position. And then I want to thank Dr. Gardner for kind of working with the high school to I know you restructured some positions and things. So anyway, that was just, if you're wondering why that's resurfaced, that's because I checked to see if we could do this, and then I wanted to just talk about it again if anybody had anything else they wanted to mention, and then however we vote tonight, I will leave it alone.
Just discuss it a little bit. Of course, I've been in that position, so I know what it takes, and I wanted to ask a lot of questions last week because I wanted to know more. We've not had a significant increase in student population. We've operated with the principal and 3 administrators for many years now, whether it be CT director, 2 assistant principals, or 3 assistant principals, and I'm tight. I do the budget at work. I don't like spending a lot of money if I don't think it's needed, and I just don't see a need for it. I know the students. Mr. Humphrey's a good guy. My kids love him, but we've got to be good stewards of taxpayer money, and I think we have to think with our heads instead of our hearts sometime. And I just don't know that there's enough information for me to vote yes to a position being created that we haven't needed in many years. And just I look at the agenda we're getting ready to vote on, approving about $65,000 worth of equipment repair for Harold McCormick and the high school, and I think that's about how much this position would cost, and I just can't, I can't support it.
Can you talk about a little bit about how you kind of reworked the principals? Oh, sorry. Welcome, and boy, don't we just like.
Yeah, that's okay. No, that's okay.
Because I kind of, if you don't mind, kind of talking a little bit about what we're, thinking about doing with the positions and kind of
Sure.
explaining that would probably be really
Sure.
helpful.
Well, in just the short couple weeks that I've been there, of course, I've taken a look at some of the prior responsibilities and positions. Of course, many of you are familiar with how those have been delegated, and in each of those positions with assistant principal, CTE director, and then the lead principal. One of the things that I know that we're going to be facing this year, in addition to, as Dr. Gardner has told you, the need for someone to focus primarily on curriculum is, testing is going back to a paper pencil format. I have some experience in being a testing coordinator when it was in a paper pencil format with significantly less end of course assessments, and not really in the AP role in Carter County when I was there, of course. But now shifting back to that transition, I was just kind of thinking about the number of weeks and the amount of time that it takes in preparation and planning in order to do that, because we don't have a full-time testing coordinator. And we're looking at about probably a third of the year with AP, ACT given in the fall and the spring, PSAT, the planning in the 6-week window for EOC in the fall and spring on a block schedule. That eats up a lot of time. So that in and of itself is going to take up about a third of the time of whatever that position is, or a third of the time of someone who's already there, depending on how the board votes. And so, and in addition to that, I do want to place some additional responsibilities, not only on myself, but on someone to be in charge of scheduling, working with our student support. And when I say student support, I mean school counselors, our registrar, and our counseling secretary to start planning in the early phases to get ready for next year. So we've got equal and adequate access for all students and all programs to be represented. And so our teachers are going home in the summertime with a really solid plan in place of what they're going to come back to, and so that our CTE schedule is aligned so that students get equal opportunities. Working on integrated courses in English and U.S. history now, and then growing that. So our schedule could change. It always is going to, based off of needs. And so having an administrator tied to that is something I'd like to see. Just in what I know. Of course, I'm learning quickly, but those are three things: curriculum, obviously a need for that, and then having someone in a paper pencil testing format. Now that's going to just be for this year, from what I understand. We may be going back to online, so it's going to take someone, testing coordinator, about a third of the year, and then having someone that's primarily over scheduling to meet with faculty, meet with departments throughout the year, just so that we're meeting the needs of the students and giving them the opportunities that they need. I'll be more than happy to take questions if you have any.
Looking back, I know that one of the things that the high school teachers have mentioned is communication. That's been something that's been needed and they've voiced often, and that would kind of, having that person there to kind of also be a set of ears would be really nice.
Yeah, and there's plenty other, of course, most of you are familiar, like I said, about the other responsibilities. There's a lot more that we'll be dividing up with discipline and RTI, 504s, IEPs. There's an administrator tied to so many different things, and myself included. So we'll be more than happy to work with what we have, but we could certainly use an additional spot if it's out there. So.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I think I'll just echo what Rita said and what I understand where Danny is. So, but I can tell you that communication this year, focus on our master schedule, we have a lot, we're starting a couple new programs this year, and we know that we're going to be starting more new programs coming up. And, Brian's time is going to be, he is going to be right at the epicenter of a lot of the growth that's going on within that, and it's going to take a lot of time from him. We've talked about the fact that we need to free him up some to be able to handle that. It's just, we're looking at this year for funding, and then after that we have to come up with funding and reevaluate it. And so, but we know this is a pretty important year for us. And so, and the big needs as far as our our, accountability is a big area where we need to improve as well. And this stood out to me. I've been looking at, although they're embargoed, I've been looking at some of our scores and things like that, and we know that's a major area of focus for us, including attendance is something that we're going to be meeting a lot on and working a lot on this year as well. So at the high school.
Mr. Minton, you come from Science Hill, correct?
Yes.
How many assistant principals are there?
There's a full-time athletic director, full-time CT director, 3 assistant principals, and lead principal, and then a person over alternative learning at a separate location.
And what's the population there?
2,350 is roughly what we did year with last year.
So we're a third of their size and we're going to have the same amount of assistant principals. I just don't, I'm sorry, I can't support that.
I'm with you.
Anybody else? Okay, item on the floor, approve assistant principal position at EHS for the 2019-2020 school year. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, ratify emergency purchase for repairs by train to the chiller at Harold McCormick Elementary in the amount of $21,832 and replacement of 2 drives on the chiller plant at EHS in the amount of $21,504 for a total of $43,336. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you to the board for understanding and being able to ratify this emergency purchase of 2 items for our chiller plant. Actually, it's 3 total. It's 2 drives and 1 part of our chiller plant. As I explained in my email to the board, we did some work on this particular plant prior and replaced the other half, and we were hoping to get a couple more years out of what we had at Harold McCormick, and we were able to get a few more years, and it completely went out, leaving half the school without HVAC, particularly air. So I asked the board to go ahead and give us the opportunity to take care of it right away, so we would have air when teachers came back and students came back to school, and I appreciate that. Also, we have 2 drives on our chiller plant that went bad. They came in to replace the drives on the chiller plant. The reason we had to do a total replacement and couldn't fix them is they're obsolete. They are no longer made, and so we couldn't retrofit anything to do that. So we went ahead and had to replace both of those. But the chiller is in working order, and I will say, the board has done a very good thing. I think maybe it started with Mr. Van Huss, maybe a little bit before, that we were able to be on a plan, a service plan, and we were just paying for the actual parts as opposed to, or they were paying for the parts, we just had to do the labor. So it really made it much cheaper than what it would have been. So it was worthwhile. It paid for itself just in this one particular time. It's already paid for itself for the entire time we've had it.
Are the chillers at Harold McCormick, is that where, Mr. Wamper, you would walk us down into the bowels of the school and look at this? Is this the equipment?
Just past that room.
Okay. I still have nightmares about going down there, by the way. All right. Anybody have any questions or comments? All right. Item on the floor, ratify emergency purchase for repairs by train to the chiller plant at Harold McCormick and replacement of 2 drives at chiller plant at Elizabethton High School in the amount totaling $43,336. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve the recommended price increases in school lunches for the 2019-2020 school year. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, this item, when we're looking at the sheet on item 15, what you'll notice is that Westside did not have full price meals last year because we were on a community eligibility program. But this year, based on the profitability and what we found this year, we needed to add Westside back as a pay for service school in order to be able to continue to operate our food service budget efficiently. I'd say, I don't know if Beth can give me a round estimate, it was around $90,000 difference, maybe, as what we were, 75 to 80, roughly that, this past year, at what it cost us to continue CEP when we did not have the ability to have the funding and the numbers were not high enough, so for us to be able to do that. So our budget's only around $400,000, so in 4 years we would have been broke. So we decided to move that back on.
Any questions or comments? Item on the floor, approve the recommended price increases in school lunches for the 2019-2020 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next item, approve new signatures for Citizens Bank accounts. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, this item specifically, we had a few people that had moved around last year and have come back, and we also had a non-rehire in a position, so we've made the effective changes.
And this is what Felicia's been walking around getting signatures, so do not make her tackle you on the way out because she's a woman on a mission. So don't leave until you sign that if we vote for it. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, item on the floor, approve new signatures for Citizens Bank accounts. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, get comfortable because I'm going to read a bunch of these and here we go. Taking items 5 through 21. Approve first reading of Board Policy 1.406, minutes as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 2.403, surplus property sales as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 3.202, emergency preparedness plan as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 6.200, attendance as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 1.804, alcohol and drugs in the workplace as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 2.601, fundraising activities as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 4.605, graduation requirements as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 5.605, staff gifts and solicitations as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 6.308, bus safety and conduct as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 6.506, students from military families as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 9.03, charter schools oversight as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 1.906, charter schools revocation as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 1.901, charter schools application as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 1.905, charter schools renewal as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 5.200, separation practices for tenured teachers as revised. Approve first reading of Board Policy 5.305, family medical leave as revised. Approve first reading Board Policy 5.201, separation practices for non-tenured teachers as revised. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any of these anybody wants to talk about? Are most of these housekeeping items that TSBA suggested we look at?
There are suggestions from TSBA based on the
laws.
last legislative session. And what I would call your attention to are just a couple. One of the ones that we need to probably look at are fundraising activities, attachment 22, if you could turn to that one quickly. This affects two board policies, but I wanted to make sure we brought this one, or just discussed it for just a minute. It would be 2.601 and 5.605. If you turn to the second page and you're looking at fundraising for non-educational purposes, what you're going to find is that we do not currently, we need to make this 2.601 an option for our teachers if they would like to do this. Now currently, teachers, if there's bereavement support or employment morale or a banquet or something like that, they would just do that on their own with a teacher account, okay? This is something that the board would be giving teachers and employees the opportunity to use school system books to be able to collect that money and then hold it in an account and pay it like we would anything else. My opinion on it is that we may consider not doing that. I think we have a kind of a good system the way it works now. Teachers kind of take care of that on their own. If they want to do that together to take care of things. And it's something that I think could muddy the waters a little bit, especially that we're giving them the approval in this to raise funds for these specific things within the school. And, we have procedures in place for any fundraising activity. They have to fill out a fundraising form, they turn that in, has approval of the principal for us to do that using the school's name or that type of thing. But in this case, when you look at something such as bereavement support, that's a person-to-person type thing. And I would suggest maybe we not do that. I'm willing to listen to the board. If you go back then on the other one we were going to look at on 5.605,
Item 12.
and it's item
Attachment 24.
attachment 24, you'll notice that there's a specific line in this one that says employees may collect money for group gifts subject to the approval of the principal. So in my opinion, this kind of puts the principal in place where he's making decisions about, is it okay to collect for this bereavement, or is it okay to collect for this issue and not another? Just, teachers just handle this on their own normally. They may go to a funeral, they may together order flowers to send to someone, or buy a card together and send it to someone in a time of need. So just my thought, but I'm willing to listen to the board on those.
You said there's already systems in place, like these things happen and...
They take care of them that way.
But if something happened and it just became too much and principals said they wanted some sort of structure, there's things in place that we could always add this if we decide to take it
We
out.
could come back and add it. It's a part of a model policy. We could add it at any time if we thought that we would like to do that.
Okay. Well, what's the board's thoughts? Do we want to keep the lines, or do we want to move those lines out? It would be in item 10, we would remove lines 21 through 34, and in item 12, we would remove line 7, if that's what everybody's thoughts are.
My understanding, Dr. Gardner, I just want to make sure, so they have a Christmas banquet.
Yeah.
They can pay for it themselves, and it doesn't run through the school. That's
That's
what
right.
they do now, and there's no issues with that. Bookkeeping wise, we're good on that.
Yeah.
I say if it's not fixed, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
This comment here, per Public Chapter 134, boards may allow district employees to raise funds for non-educational purposes, provided there's a policy in place. If
That's-
it does not adopt it, then the board is required to pay for the cost of an audit by the comptroller of the Tennessee Treasury/designee.
And we
this-
are.
That's before that's the...
And
That's
Some
not
of the
anything to do
guidance-
with this.
Right.
Some
We're
of the
on line
guidance that
7.
Ms. Wilson received at our fiscal meeting was all school funds should be traced back to a school origin. And so, that they would be used for a school purpose.
So we're
And so-
saying fundraising for things that are not school. We don't even need to comment because it's not broken. We're
That's
not
correct.
saying we're going to be providing a comptroller's audit for those.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm good. That's what I wanted to know. Don't want to pay for an audit for the
Yeah,
bereavement monies.
Gets into the weeds a little bit. There's one other that I'd just like to bring to your attention. If you look at attachment 21, it's Board Policy 1.804. We talked about specifically drugs in the workplace. And so the state board has come out with a ruling on that. They are cracking down on situations that we might have. There is some language in our policy I think is very good that is not in the model policy. If you look at the very first paragraph, that is one that is not in the model policy, but Ms. Owen has helped us with that language to put it in there. I think it does spell out some of the things specifically that we may need to have in our policy. If you look then down at the definitions, they have some of those. And then you look at, alcohol is new. Alcohol shall include, but it's not limited to, spirits, liquor, wine, beer. Any liquid containing alcohol is defined as by state and federal law. And then you move on to the next page. And one of the things that we have in our policy that it's not in the model policy is suspicion drug testing, which I think, based on instances that from the past, I think that's something that's effective for us. If we would have suspicion that there was illegal drug use, that we would then be able to test the employee if we had that suspicion. And then CDL employees is not in the model policy, but that is something that's required for transportation, and so I believe we need to go ahead and keep that as well. And keep the rest. If you look at the page 3 of 4, the procedures, implementation of those, we're allowed to keep that. It's not necessarily over and all above state law, but it does look at specific instances where there have been issues, and I know it would help us to continue to have that. It also gives employees protection, that there's a way we go about it. If we're going about something, we have a suspicion of that, there's a way that we handle a suspicion of that, and communicates to them, this is what happens and this is how we're going to operate, time frames and all. A lot of the others are just a lot of housekeeping items. We can go. One I want to bring your attention to is item number 25 in your packet, bus safety and conduct. One of the changes in the public chapter allows parents to be able to view video. If you have video and it's running, they allow them to view that. And there are specific instances for that. One of the questions I have for the board, and I'll read this paragraph and then we can make a decision. The district shall comply with all applicable state and federal laws related to photographs and video footage. These materials shall be maintained for a blank amount of time. We have to decide amount of time. Parents or guardians may submit requests to view photographs and video footage to the director of schools / designee, and the time shall be arranged for viewing. The director of schools / designee shall be present when the parent or guardian are provided the opportunity to review photographs or video footage. We were talking about that today, and the amount of time, we're checking on the specific amount of time that we have it, but we felt that 7 days after the incident would be enough time where we could keep it for a parent if they wanted to come and view it. Normally, if we have a discipline incident, we're handling it the following day. So we felt 7 days was probably enough time. We may be able to keep it longer, but we felt that was a reasonable.
So we're going to start with 7 days?
7 days.
Okay, in line 14.
Okay, I know I keep going, there's so many of them, but there's also an amount of days for the next policy on number 26. We were going to insert, this is relocation of a military service member. They have to make application for enrollment, and we said that enrollment of 5 days, within 5 days of enrollment, the parent or guardian shall provide proof of residency within the school district. If they move in with, we have to enroll the student day one. If they come in with a military leave, they've been deployed and they now come into our jurisdiction, we have to put them in school, but then we need to have proof of their residence within 5 days. We felt that was pretty reasonable there. Let me go back to the final ones. Just want to make sure there's nothing else on that. One of the things with number 32 is the fact that not just maternity leave, family medical leave, and our policy will also take care of paternity leave if you have a husband or wife who wanted to be off with their baby. That's about it. Are there any other questions that you have?
Okay, just to review to everybody. So on item 10, we're removing lines 21 through 34. Item 12, we're removing line 7. Item 13, we're adding 7 days. And line 14, item 14, we're adding 5 days to line 10. Is that the only changes? Okay. Everybody good with everything? Item on the floor is to approve agenda items 5 through 21. Again, I will reread that on item 10, we're removing lines 21 through 34. Item 12, we're removing line 7. Item 13, we're adding 7 days to line 14. And in agenda item 14, we are adding 5 days to line 10. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, then, going on down to 22, approve contract between Elizabethton City Schools and the Access Program, which will be utilized in special education program. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a particular one. Richard, do you want to talk about it at all? It's a work-based learning opportunity for students.
Thank you. This program this would be the second year that we'd have this program in place. We had it in the curriculum at the high school last year. This group comes in and they work with all of our special needs students 1 day a week. We rotate. It's really every other week for the different groups. They work on career counseling, post-secondary goals, a lot of the soft skills we've talked about, so they get a lot of intensive one-on-one work there. I talked to the teachers there to get their feedback on how it went, and they were very pleased with it. So if the board would approve that, we would continue that program this next year. They really felt like it was of benefit to the students. So thank you for your consideration.
Any questions or comments? All right, item on the floor, approve contract between Elizabethton City Schools and the Access Program, which will be utilized in the special education program. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Then we had some additions, so we'll go through these. Item on, let's see, approval of FY20 consolidated application for the IDEA ESEA for the 2019-2020 school year. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hutchins and Mr. Van Huss worked on this, and Dr. Newman as well. This particular consolidated application, we've had some back and forth, but we're ready to go, and we'll look forward to our carryover and see what that's going to be. But the budget was approved in our budget process, but we're just approving it it's ready and approved by the state. We just have to approve it as a board for it to go to the state.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Item on the floor, approval of the FY20 consolidated application for IDEA/ESEA for the 2019-2020 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve new position at Harold McCormick Elementary for Tier 2 interventionist to be paid from the 2019-2020 title funds pending the approval of the consolidated application for the 2019-2020 school year. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say this is also approved in the budget, but Mr. Wampler has funds at his school to be able to do this. Would you like to say anything, Mr. Wampler?
Sure, this is going to be a big boost for us, be able to follow around through the RTI in the day, be able to follow around and help us, this teacher, will plan with the teacher and be in there as well with other, most of you guys know, all of the elementaries now, we split things up. We have people moving around to sit in, and we break kids up in group. I think RTI is one of the single best things that's happened since I've been in education as far as seeing a difference, making a difference. When we looked at data and looked at percentages, this is going to be a huge help for us and a huge help for the teacher to take a lot of weight off, a lot of load off, and use that money that Mr. Hutchins splits up and gets to us to help our students. We're excited about this. I think it's going to make a huge difference and have a positive impact on our students.
Do you have any questions or comments? So item on the floor, approve new position at Harold McCormick Elementary for Tier 2 interventionist to be paid from the 2019-2020 title funds, pending the approval of the consolidated application for the 2019-2020 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve agreement between Tusculum University College of Education and Elizabethton City Schools for its intern teacher program from the 2019-2020 school year. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
We want to thank Tusculum for wanting to put intern teachers with us. They normally spend a full year here and get a lot of experience, so it's as good for us as it is for them. And we'll also be doing that with Lincoln Memorial.
Do you have any questions or comments? Item on the floor, approve agreement between Tusculum University College of Education and Elizabethton City Schools for its intern teacher program for the 2019-2020 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve agreement between Lincoln Memorial University and Elizabethton City Schools for clinical experiences, student teaching, collaborations, and partnerships for the 2019-2020 school year. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you for your consideration with Lincoln Memorial University. The same thing for this year.
Any questions or comments? All right, item on the floor, approve agreement between Lincoln Memorial University and Elizabethton City Schools for clinical experiences, student teaching, collaborations, partnerships for the 2019-2020 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve proposal from Rutherford Learning Group to provide professional development for Elizabethton City Schools teachers for the 2019-2020 school year. The consulting fee of $6,500 includes travel expenses. There's a materials fees of $35.50 per participant. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
The Rutherford Learning Group specifically is focused on faculty and student feedback. As I said before, it is an area where we are working this year on our school improvement plan. It's one of our goals. And so we felt that sending administrators in to do it, we felt that they needed some training. We hope to be able to expand this as we move forward, to be able to work with teachers and not just on the feedback, but we want our relationships between our principals to know what to say to help them improve. And this is the start of that. And we feel that also with some of the work Dr. Newman's been doing this past year, working on walkthroughs and looking at some of the things we have said that shed some light on some areas where we needed to improve. And we feel that this is something that will support it. We also have had, and we'll be meeting with the State Department Wednesday, talking about ways that they can support us in this as well. So we'll not just have training and it go away. We'll have some of the State Department folks. Tammy Davis is one who will be coming to help us with our teachers to help them improve and coach them.
Any questions or comments? Item on the floor, approve proposal from Rutherford Learning Group to provide professional development for Elizabethton City Schools teachers for the 2019-2020 school year. Consulting fee of $6,500 includes travel expenses and a materials fee of $35.50 per participant. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Couple of things. Don't forget, back to school bash, August the 3rd. I haven't been able to go in a couple years, so I'm excited I can do that this time. Felicia said that our BOE Connect will be in place by the next board meeting. So the training date is July 30th at 11:30 here for anybody who can attend. And then don't forget, the fall district meeting is going to be in Johnson City, so we don't have to travel far, which is going to be very nice. It's going to be September the 16th. So please let Felicia know so that we can RSVP. It's always a very nice dinner, always a lot of good information, and it's always just really great to spend time with other school boards. So the next regularly scheduled board meeting will be Tuesday, August 20th at 6:30 here in the Mac Pierce Boardroom. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Second. Thank you. Have a good evening.